Hi there, Dr. Trey here, and I am in my car again recording. It's quiet in here. Recording another video for a telecommute carpool. Welcome. It's very quiet in here. I have two loud teenagers in my house. They're up hollering. So yeah, trust me, I understand everybody's pain if you got kids at home. Well, in this video, I just want to share some tips that are geared toward getting started with telework for team leads specifically. However, folks who are not team leads can also benefit from some of this as well. So I hope it helps everybody. So I'm going to focus on three basic things today. And there's tons of stuff to talk about when it comes to this, but we want to keep the videos short. So I just talk about three things today. One, establishing norms. So norming your team. When you first get started, you want to make sure you establish norms, right? And then two, establishing some expectations for communication. And those can be a part of establishing norms, but communication can be more about also establishing culture. Remote teams do have a culture. And then number three is trusting your folks to carry out what they need to do, and yet providing support when and where needed. So first, let's talk about norming. When I talk about norming, the things I'm thinking about from my experience as an administrator, and I was an administrator for several years. I had a director's role where I had to build a team from scratch. I was a director of a non-traditional learning unit, which covered everything from fully online learning to courses that are short, accelerated versions, held at different times and via different different delivery modes. And so that establishing goals, it's talking about employees with their goals, and now it's a good time to revisit those goals. Now that folks are remote, they're going to be shaken up, so it's good to kind of come back and say, okay, let's talk about our team, what we're about. How can we cut the fat of the things that are not the most important things for us right now, and focus on the mission and the goals of our team that are the most important thing. How will we get deliverables submitted? Let's establish that. Work hours, that's another big thing. Matter of fact, that probably deserves its own video, because some staff members want that structure of a 9-to-5 day. Other staff members can probably do fine with having flexible work hours, but then it all depends on your team needs, like the work you do. Sometimes you have team members where you have to be there at a certain time during the day, present and online, and that has implications for which tools you decide to use to collaborate and to hold your team meetings and to get things done, right? And also just setting your expectations around what you expect as far as frequency of communication, team meetings, weekly or daily, or however you decide to do that. As the leader, you have to kind of guide your team based on what you know is best, and keep them reminded and abreast of what they need to be doing regularly every day. And keeping in mind that some team members will need more guidance and more structure than others. Some people work very well, just tell them what you need them to get done and they just go off on their own and do it. Some people like to have a little more guidance and a little more structure and need a little more checking in. So as team leads, you have to know your employees and know your team members well enough to know what kind of guidance and structure to give to them. I think that's cool, and that leads to the trust thing that I'm going to talk about in just a few moments. The second thing that I wanted to kind of remind you about is the communication. Again, that could be its own separate video. I may actually do a video on communication, just about the differences in tools that can be used for various types of communication and collaboration. I think the best thing to do is to focus on the how, the when, and the why. So focusing on the when and the why is, how often are we going to communicate? Are we going to have a start and end day check-in where we do a live meeting with our team at the start start and the end of our scheduled work day? Are we going to have just, more fluid kinds of check-ins through the day, and maybe a weekly team meeting, or maybe an every other day team meeting to check in? How we're going to, when are we, and then the why. What is the purpose of the meeting? Are you checking in to just help people establish a routine? Because we'll need that, as we go to fully online working and working away from our offices. We need to get that routine back started, right? So checking in at the beginning and the end of the day is a great way to do that. Saying we're going to have a start meeting at the beginning of the day, and then we're going to have a debrief meeting at the end of the day, and we'll do that live via Zoom. Another way to think about too is there's a lot of other tools you can use other than Zoom, depending on what you need. I use GroupMe a lot for different things. It's text-based. It's called GroupMe, and it's text-based app for your smartphone. You can also log in on your computer, so you can get messages there too. So it works both ways. And you can be in a group texting environment, but without a group text where everybody's phone number is being used. So that helps a lot. And you can do polls there. You can send short little videos through there, and things like that. Another tool is, if you like video messaging, is Marco Polo. That is a phone app, and you can go on there and send messages back and forth to folks. People are also talking about more industry tools like Microsoft Teams, using project management type collaboration tools like Slack or Asana, free conference call. Don't forget about the traditional telephone conference call. You can do that if you don't have access to these other tools like Microsoft Teams or Zoom and so forth. Zoom and some of the other tools are actually going free for educators. So if you need to use that and you don't have a site license, you still can. Another thing I wanted to remind you about is social media. A lot of times in higher ed, we don't like social media. We're like, I hate social media. But we can make use of Facebook. We can make use of Twitter for our professional learning networks. We can create groups on Facebook and make them closed groups so that only the members of our team can have access to that information. And it's a great way to use it to help with that if you don't have a site license for other things. An education-based social media tool is Edmodo, Edmodo. It's very popular in K-12, and that's another way that you can get on and get information out and get collaboration going. And I think they may also have some free offers for us at this time in education, but I know that their site is pretty cool for that purpose as well. Another thing I want to remind you about communication is the fun factor. A lot of what we missed working online and working remotely is being able to communicate and talk and chill with our teammates, with our colleagues, right? So it's good to build in team leads. You should build this in virtual coffee breaks, the virtual water cooler chat, where you can have some scheduled times for that, or you can just encourage and remind your staff to actually create those opportunities on their own. Like they can go and hey, we're gonna have, look, if they working in a sub team, and they can sign, hey, I'm gonna do a Zoom meeting with my sub team at 3:00. Let's check in and have our coffee or our whatever we want to drink, tea or whatever it is, and have our little water cooler chat. So those things have to be there for sharing, for support, for team building. There are actual virtual team building activities you can do. I'll share some resources about that. Just to keep the morale up and keep a positive remote team culture. Okay. The last thing I'm going to talk about is trust. It's very difficult for a lot of us to relinquish control. And we don't want our employees to just not do their work. And it's hard for us to believe that they're actually going to be at home with all the distractions of home and still get their work done. Okay. I urge you to please trust your employees. Trust them to get their work done. Trust them to reach out to you when they need help. Trust that you can give them a little bit of reign, of self-autonomy and a little bit of self-governance, and just provide support to them. And then track when they need help and be there to support them. The last thing someone wants at this time is to be micromanaged. If you do need to more aggressively manage someone, or I should say assertively manage someone, then give that person what they need if they need more guidance and more structure. But it shouldn't go across the whole team, because people, they want to do their best at heart, you know? Anyway, that's my time. Thank you for listening to my little telecommute carpool. And I wish you all the best, and stay safe and stay well.